first of all down it as the season goes on, whereas E United started at the bottom of the slide and then started to climb it up again now. So two different teams, both in a similar situation of trying to find consistency more than anything else here. Zeus Sylvanas Scotty for memory you gave though.
That is a very strong three-man draft already between the Zeus, Sylvanas, and Scotty. Tons of AoE and early game pressure potential on the side of Gabe. Meanwhile, United with a little bit, you know, more mid to late game orientation considering the Athena Vulcan picks. So there's still some objective control being based around that, but it can be a little bit more difficult to execute.
Both very good at team fighting, both these squads that have been drafted so far. Only difference is E United can do it from a bit further range with that Vulcan ultimate as well. The Athena taunts could come into play as well. And then you've got Osiris, and now with the Hou-Yi added as well. Both are very team fight orientated here.
Circle seemed to be the game plan here on the side of E United, other than the Osiris pick, of course, but even he can, you know, have a bit of an impact. And the Chang'e, so that's...
Is that Sander show jumping in the jungle? We've seen a lot of it, well, maybe not with the Thanatos.
Well, you have to consider, though, that Walrus was playing Thanatos in that solo lane. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Sino on God jungle, Walrus on the Thanatos, and then Sylvanas port.
So the Osiris against Chang'e, Tether will reach the amount of healing needs as well. While the Tether's attached, if you didn't know the home. You made the final pick for United here, which will probably be their jungler as well. For is going for the Ymir up against what like I feel with Chang'e.
Paindown has really established a name for himself on that arena, so I would have to say I don't expect him to play Ymir in the support role, but it is still a possibility for sure, for certain.
Well, as we get into game, then we'll see how this one begins. Memory game and E United, very important for both these two teams. Standing is everything right now. E United have the chance to make sure they're a top two team and get themselves some masters. They have to win this set and put pressure on the LG Eager boys to perform to their standards. Otherwise, E United could slip in.
I mean, Gabe are kind of in the same boat, though. If you think about it, they're at 8 points, so they also want to remain with the identity that we are a top 3 team as well, or a top 2 team even. But I mean, while they won't necessarily have that possibility to reach 12 points, it's still pretty phenomenal to think that this could really be their chance to bounce back into the top end of the league.
When you look at what happened with North America this split, though, you can say Flashpoint at the bottom, but everybody else has been in the running for a top 4 spot potentially. Obviously, the top 2 feel like it has been LG and Eager all season long, but everybody else very, very centered and could trade any single time. Talking about trades here, 3v3 amid at the start. Benji from one side, Walrus from the other. Hurry wins the first one to get hit here, and he's already on the run. Run, hurry, run. How fast can you go? Not fast without any boots, my friend. That's going to cause you a couple of issues, but Benji's taking a lot more damage from those minions. Nobody's going to end up dying here, and the amount of experience gained here, Taco, is actually low because it's a 3-way split.
A really interesting aspect that both of the solo laners would opt to start in that mid role, except you have to consider one thing that E United differently. Verizio was hanging out in that solo lane, soaking up the wave farm.
Completely true. Verizio managed to get some free farm on that right-hand side. Now level 2 on the Ymir. Pressuring a little bit more onto Walrus once more, and this next wave coming in. This does deny Benji some farm here, Taco, but it does mean they can look to invade off this.
But Walrus already expended his TP in comparison to Benji, who just walked over to that lane, which I think was the smarter decision, because now with Walrus's TP being down, like you mentioned, they're just going to freely invade the jungle buffs, and if Walrus tries to contest and he gets poked out a little bit too low, it's going to take him a hot minute to get back to that lane.
Well, surprisingly enough, this is working out well for Memory of Gabe too, because the left-hand side of the map, Sylvanas and Scotty, Ionic and Snoopy invade, push the wave against Panda Cat, steal the red and the purple buff as well, denying the experience from the left, which answers the blue buff invade on the right, and actually gives him a bit of a lead.
Applying the pressure so early on to Panda Cat 2 is exactly what you want to do as Scotty. The matchup is a lot more favorable for Scotty, considering that she has the Doge to her advantage.
And what is it about Scotty that really a lot of people are playing her for now? Is it her damage potential or control, or because on paper she's a lot like AMC, right? She doesn't really have that much escapability, or does she?
Well, I mean, people kind of sleep on how much movement speed you get off of the Permafrost ability. That ability, actually, you go Sonic speeds with as soon as it's procced, but it's just the dog. The dog is so... Kaldar is so impossible to deal with early, especially at these early on stages. And granted, as Hou-Yi, your one is going to penetrate through the Kaldar and also be able to hit Scotty potentially.
That's
and
true.
You have your AoE slowing ability, but if you try to use the standard Hu Yi 3-1 combination, you're going to find yourself in a world of hurt as soon as Scotty pops her ultimate.
Now, I mentioned maybe she had a little bit of a lack of mobility. Obviously, the permafrost was the last thing to be buffed on Scotty, allowing her to get some mobility after she steps off the ice as well. And Snoopy, one of the most prevalent players of AMC in the Pro League overall, I want to say there. He's been the one that's gone to it most. And if AMC and Scotty are like considered similar in terms of escapability being lacking, then he's got the advantage of already playing a lot of AMC, so he should understand what he's got to do in team fights.
Snoopy is not foreign to these immobile hunters in the slightest, and if anything, he loves having that janky ADC pick because it's just something that most people aren't accustomed to having to play against, especially underneath Snoopy's play style.
Well, Warriors at the moment going to be beaten under the tower. This would have happened, I feel, anyway, Taco, even if we didn't see the crazy shenanigans at the start of the game. Thanatos versus Osiris. Osiris is one of the best lane bullies in the game.
The issue is, Thanatos, I mean, ideally you want to use your 3 to silence out abilities, but there's not a whole lot of abilities to silence out from the Osiris. Sure, you can maybe prevent him from his little AoE ability or a tether momentarily, but it doesn't do much in the long run.
Shows a bit of an awkward position here in the jungle. Was looking to contest, now frozen in place and forced to beats. Still giving chase though is Benji, and that's also going to get the waxing moon out of Sinosure. Not only do they get that EU United, they also steal away the elementals too.
Tons of pressure all over from E United so far this game, and I mean they're playing this to their advantage considering that on paper you would consider Gabe to have the stronger early game draft.
Ton onto Ionic, going to put him in an awkward spot. Great wall from Viriziel to follow that up too. Ionic's looking for an ult if he can find it. That's why he pushed forward. Instead, now he turns onto Viriziel, and immediately Viriziel going to disengage there. Did pick up an Aegis at the start of the game to absorb some of that damage from Horrywind. Nice, interesting back and forth.
The Athena ultimate there to help with the damage reduction onto Viriziel, just really ensuring the Zeus didn't have much effect.
Panda Cat could have been in a bit of trouble there if that damage would have come through from Snoopy off the back of that. Snoopy's looking to invade the red buff, but he is alone against 4 members here of a United. CM Divion dash towards his face. He's like, nope, peace, I'm out. I'll go back and farm.
You always want to be the hunter to make the aggressive play whenever you poke out the enemy ADC so much, but well, as soon as you see full side is if in memory of Gabe tried to look for an early Gold Fury.
Which they could have done if they realized it.
The Zeus ultimate is still on cooldown. It's going to be coming back up pretty soon. It wouldn't surprise me if they were to buy up and then potentially come back for it. So E United are certainly going to have to keep this in mind.
I think both E United and Memory of Gabe will watch the game tape back of just that one moment there where we saw Panda Cat's ult get used, Snoopy spotted that ult getting used too, and the rest of E United actually returned back to base. There was a big window for a free Gold Fury where you wouldn't have had to use ultimates either. IMAG will be kicking themselves and E United will be thanking their lucky stars after that little start. 4 kills in this game, approaching 7 minutes so far. Boots are starting to come online for pretty much everybody, or have come online for everybody. The difference is I can see Ninja Tabby on the side of Panda Cat here, who may be going Transcendence as well, more than likely, as is Snoopy, but he's gone for the Warrior Tabby.
And Walrus is just so stubborn in that solo lane right now, taking all those free pokes and in-hands straight to the face, but
you can't stop it sometimes though. It's Osiris, right? That's all he ever does, is just hit you in the face.
He's trying to prevent himself from losing as much gold, but it's just not really making enough of a difference. 3
members in the mid lane for IMUG, and now E United can do the same thing. Viriziel's hanging around the corner there. Doesn't have Blink, as we mentioned earlier on. The relic of choice for the Ymir jungle right now has been the Aegis, which tells me the walls are very important here, Taco.
For the most part, they just really want to try and avoid any sort of awkward engagements. And it looks like Ionic could be catching him.
He pops the ultimate, but Panda Cat turns this around. Viriziel now giving chase, has speed buff to close the gap. Horrywind and Sinosure on the way. Snoopy uses his beads to escape the slow, and he's going to be back to safety. Meanwhile, Horrywind, who's made this rotation, is taking a lot of damage, but he will pick up Panda Cat for first blood as well. Horrywind's still alive. The backfire, not enough from Chaos. The meditation comes out as well from Ionic, and now it's a United turning tail. They're on the run. Pain Divion is not being looked at yet, but he's definitely easy to be picked up. Sinosure wanted Viriziel so bad. I think they dropped Athena there too, Taco.
And Walrus making the rotation over from the solo lane side, but unfortunately unable to...
Something else, and in that circumstance there, they did drop a kill against Pain. Honestly, overall, they could have potentially picked up Viriziel as well, but instead, they let them run back, have to recall, so they get that window for the Gold Fury.
Target focus got a little chaotic there on the side of In Memory of Gabe, but you can't really blame them too much considering things can get a bit hectic when you're in the heat of the moment.
Sure. And also that teleport to the Gold Fury.
But once this Osiris starts becoming a factor into team fights, it can be really problematic, and it's about to be a big problem for Panda Cat as he falls down to Snoopy and Ionic.
Ionic mainly was the one with the kill there overall. Snoopy did all the work, but that's sometimes what happens as a support. Dot damage, you can't help it. Sometimes you will pick up the kill. So it goes the way of Ionic. That'll escalate his build a little bit quicker, get him to his next stage, which is probably Heartward Amulet.
Can't complain too much, though, about Ionic.
They do have the Ymir and Athena combo for setup against the likes of a Chonga and a Zeus in the mid lane every time. You focus one, the other one's going to crush you for damage.
It's going to be pretty problematic, and that's mostly where you just have to try and depend on Benji for introducing himself into the team fights at that point in time.
And where do you want Benji to really look at this game? Because he is very physical focused. Should he be looking towards Snoopy in these engagements? Or do you really want him on one of these mages, the jungler, like Chang'e or Zeus?
You want to see Osiris on that Chang'e all day long because he's like the best chance that they're going to have as far as initial healing reduction is concerned before they can get some items online. It's really just going to be how well can Benji position himself against Sino and how well can he try to effectively shut him down.
Well, if that's what you're saying, then it's got to be a little bit of a while before we see United start to make those sort of plays on to Sinosure, because at the moment Benji has invested in Breastplate of Valor, physical defense early on. No magical, which is one of the things you've got to deal with a heavy magical composition.
And especially with the Chang'e, who has sleeper damage. I mean, it's no surprise to anybody, I think, at this point in time. We've seen so many Chang'e jungles recently. Shout out to DJ Pernicus. But it's just, she is really problematic.
And he's going for the race car build as well by the looks of it. Shield of Regrowth seems to be being worked on by Sinosure after the full boots too. Benji's bit off a little bit too much here, looking for the speed buff. Reinforcements are on the way. The reinforcements weren't really there in time, however. The IMOG do want to dip a little bit from the engagement just to make sure that there's no collapse coming in from United, but they did what they needed to secure their own speed.
You don't want to take up any unnecessary fights at this stage in the game if you're E-United. Your solo laner already has a 2-level lead on the enemy teams, so you can pressure out, and it's fine and dandy if you want to look for something, but don't overextend it.
Yeah, for me, right now, how this game has gone, I'm generally looking at Snoopy versus Panda Cat. That's the biggest talking point. But that may change now with Ionic in an awkward spot here. Hurriwan's ult defensively used to zone away. The execute came through, but it was aegis by Barizio. Barizio still going to live. Sinosure jumps to the backside onto Hurriwan, who beats immediately. The Athena ult is good. The Vulcan ult is better, but it wasn't needed to bring down Hurriwan anyway. Sinosure on the front line is trying to get aggressive some more. 3 members of IMOG want to give chase to Chaos here, who's low on mana. But on the right-hand side, the weaker target was Benji, but at the same time, he had that mobility to get away.
Unfortunate circumstance right there for Hurriwan. It's just that moment in time where you just know it's over.
Well, looks like that went 1 for 1 overall. Panda Cat nearly took both, but at the same time, Snoopy, I think, misplayed that a little bit and dropped one of those. But it's all no doom, no harm. He's going to be fine with ward coverage going the way of IMOG right now with where that blue ward is, just near the purple and red buff. The gold lead isn't anything to talk about, though, Taco, right now. It's only 4,500 and experience the same thing.
These two teams are still feeling each other out, I'd say, especially with the way that you can tell with how E-United's pathed into the jungle of Gabe. It's like